So yeah, I'm going to talk about Candace Owens real quick. I haven't really formed an opinion on her yet. I think that she's really smart, and I do think she has good intentions. I just think what she's doing is kind of weird. Real briefly, this is kind of past current dates, but there were some texts that came out from Charlie Kirk saying that he no longer supported Israel, and Candace grabbed a hold of that, saying, "Oh, well, Charlie doesn't support Israel. It wasn't the alleged shooter that killed Charlie. It was Israel in this plot," and it was a big old thing. I didn't look into it because I was lazy, didn't think that it really mattered. But that's the beginning of the craziness that I was seeing. Also, I haven't seen the text. If there are texts out there, let us see them. I think that'd be kind of her if she actually had those. But the thing that I really want to touch on, she was talking the other day in her podcast. She explained that Charlie Kirk came to her in a dream. So I'll kind of read some of the stuff that she said. So she gives some context. She says that in 2023, she vividly dreamed that her then producer was having a baby boy. And she says, "I woke up and I immediately texted my producer in real life and I said, 'Hey, you're pregnant. Just so you know, it's a boy.' And then she found out that she was pregnant 1 week later," said Owens, declaring, "I believe people can communicate in dreams on their way in and out of this world." So that's the context she provided. And then this is what she said recently, a few days ago. She says, "I similarly, like I just said, had a vivid dream this weekend, and Charlie came to me, and he told me that he was betrayed. You don't have to believe that, but I do believe that, and it was the immediate sense I got, and I don't know who exactly is that betrayed him, but I also felt in the dream that it is soon going to be revealed." End of quote. I religiously, in regards to receiving revelation for other people, that's a load of not true. Yeah, God speaks to all of us, of course. Mm-hmm. But I don't have the authority, the responsibility to receive revelation for you. I don't think that Candace has the responsibility and pathway with God to receive that revelation for her producer. Maybe she had a vivid dream about Charlie. It could be that she's enveloped in this whole world of trying to figure out what happened. Charlie was her good friend. Mm-hmm. Could be something like that. It just doesn't sit right with me. And there's a whole lot of other stuff that she said that is a lot more coherent. She's very smart and is doing this for a good reason, but I just think that this is a little bit silly. I don't know. The fact that she had this dream in 2023 about her producer, is that supposed to mean that this Charlie dream is true and we're supposed to all rely on Candace now? Candace the prophet, the prophetess? I don't know. I don't know. You have any thoughts about that?
Well, my first thought is maybe some of the audience members aren't familiar with what we mean by the term revelation. So do you want to kind of break down what that means?
So revelation for us is God speaking to us personally. If we have an idea, if we have a feeling that we need to do something or not do something, and it's for our own personal life, that's personal revelation. We believe that there's a prophet on the earth today, as there was in the time of Jesus, and before that, mm-hmm. who receives revelation from God in regards to the entire world, the entire church, and there is, there's stewardship. So I can't receive revelation for the entire world as a whole, mm-hmm. but who I believe the prophet to be, he can. Yeah. I can't receive revelation for your family, for your wife and your daughter, but you can. Yeah. You and your wife can receive that revelation. I can receive revelation for my own personal life. No one else can receive revelation for that. So that's kind of what we mean by that. Do you think that makes sense? Yeah. Does that make sense, guys? We'll find out.
No, absolutely. So yeah, and that's how I would say it, is it's God opening the channel between heaven and earth. So it's I mean, you see it in really grand and glorious ways in the Bible of God speaking to prophets and them going up to a high mountain and they get to converse with the Lord. I mean, Moses is a great example. And while that might not happen the same way for us, most of the time at least, I don't think that any of us can recount having ever had an experience with a burning bush. Right. But I think in a similar way, he still speaks to us through our mind and through our heart. And he kind of gives us these ideas. And sometimes you're like, I definitely don't want to do that. And so I know that's from God, because there is no way that I would have thought I'm going to go and, talk to this random stranger, and ask them how their day is going. No one you knew. So some of those types of things you can kind of tell, but sometimes it's not as easy to differentiate when it's coming from God and when it's not,
Right.
So, but in general, yeah, it's God speaking to his children, and it's an evidence of the fact that he loves us. Imagine he's not going to leave us hopeless. He's not going to leave us alone on this earth. He does want us to return, and he knows we need his help if we're going to make it back.
Right.
But you're exactly right. With Revelation, it's what we come down to with keys. And keys is a term used to refer to authority that you have given to you by God. So as a father, you have the keys to receive revelation for your family, but you're not going to receive revelation for someone else's family. And of course, there's basically different church leadership positions where God opens keys for them to lead the ward or your congregation. It's one of the ways that church is so important is that you are able to have access to unique revelation from church leaders. Obviously, for this situation, Candace could receive revelation for herself. She could, assuming that this is an accurate interpretation of the dream that she had and that it's not just a random event. Basically, she can receive revelation for herself. And it's fine for her to share that with other people and say, hey, this was my experience. But you're right. It's not going to have the same weight as if, Moses came down from the mountain and said, hey, God's told me we need to make an exodus. We need to leave Egypt.
Right. So I like the points you made. That it was a lot more eloquent than the way I put it, I think. But I don't know. I'll keep looking into Candace and the stuff that she talks about. It's very intriguing. I don't believe most of it. I think a lot of it is just conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like when people call her stuff conspiracy theory, but that's what it is.
It does sound like it.
It very much does. And I think it's important what she's doing, because call it conspiracy theory, call it fake revelation, call it whatever. She's opening another channel to the investigation, and I think we need all eyes on what happened. If anything, she's eliminating a potential possibility, and now we know not to follow that path. Or maybe she's opening something that does turn out to be something pretty significant. So I hope that she keeps going, as long as it doesn't turn out to be too misleading or too crazy.
Do you think she's being divisive?
I don't think that she is trying to be divisive. I think she is very assertive, and people divide themselves over everything that comes into this world.
Right. So maybe people loyal to her or loyal to other people start clashing, and that's where the division is.
Right. I'm worried that there is a division in between all of us that support Charlie Kirk, that are on the right side of the political spectrum. I think that is kind of shaking the ground a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing?
It can be both. It's whatever we make of it. I don't know. It's up to people to decide if they want to make it a bad thing or a good thing. I'm disagreeing with Candace on air right now, and I still think she's great, and I'm gonna keep fighting for what I believe in. I don't really care what she does, but some people are getting all ticked off at it, and I think this is just really petty and childish. We need to always remember that cliche. I know we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. We all need to fight for the same thing, and if Candace wants to fight on this side of the battle and we want to fight on this side, that's fine, as long as we're fighting the same thing.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you on, people can decide to make it a positive or a negative. But at the same time, I've been super injured internally in my viewing of how, you see Trump and Elon Musk part ways, how you see the different tensions that's happened between Pam Bondi and I'd say the citizens of this country. Some of the loss of trust that's taken place. Just some of those types of dividing moments to me breaks my heart. Because, think about it. There was such a landslide election. There's people that, deny that. I'm sure there are bigger wins that have happened in the history of our country. I'm sure of that. But this was a very significant, in recent years, win for Donald Trump. that decisive win, I feel, is injured because of these types of squabbles. I think another example is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz had an interview. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
He basically just lit up Ted Cruz and was like, so it looks like you're going back on your principles. And to me, I don't know what I think about the Israel conflict. I don't know. I honestly feel like I want to support the Israeli people because of how much persecution they've been through and how many people constantly have sought over the last 100 years. It's been longer than that, but 100 years, we'll say, to eradicate them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have a moral obligation to stand up for the people of Israel, but I've heard bad things about Israeli government, which doesn't surprise. I don't think that should surprise anyone. We've got major problems in our government as well. So it's just kind of tough to see brothers in Christ and brothers in conservatism fighting each other, and Tucker Carlson calling Ted Cruz a liar and a fraud, and Ted Cruz getting flustered and shooting back at Tucker Carlson. I don't like seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know where it stems. I don't know why people think that that's okay. I don't know. That's the problems that we're facing. That's why that's the root of this podcast, of our motives, is to fix all that crap that's going on. I mean,
you need to be a voice.
It's one thing to be divided Republican, Democrat, sure, you don't have to agree, but then to divide Republican and Republicans, like, dude, we're having our own civil war. We can't win anything if we're just gonna keep shooting our own brothers, metaphorically, sometimes literally. So I don't know, it's a big problem we're facing, and I don't know, that's why we're here, to do our best to fix it.
Yeah. We're literally tearing ourselves apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I bring up that decisive win for November 4th, 2024. It's been, and I guess they're seeing evidence of that for midterms. There's been some setbacks because of all these random drama events that have happened. And honestly, what I want to see us all as united as the left is. They've still got some division issues.
Right.
But I think about it. The left is uniting on so many different fronts. They're so good at coalition. They're so good at having a target, and even if they don't agree with so many different things, they're going to work together because they have a commonality. They have something that they can all at least agree on. So they'll kind of make a temporary alliance with some of these groups where probably, if they had the chance, they'd probably have some of the same squabbles that the right does with their groups. But why can't we manage to hang together? Why can't we manage to... And honestly, I think I want to answer what you said. You said you didn't know why this is happening. The one word that keeps hitting my mind when I think of this issue is distrust.
You don't think we trust each other?
No. I don't think we trust anything. Think about it. Our generation, Gen Z, we've had lots of statistics that have gone into it and looked and seen there's a general distrust for institutions in general.
I see that.
You're talking churches, you're talking governments. Part of the reason why they're saying that we're going to be one of the most conservative generations in recent years. And then you also have corporations. And guess what? The sad thing is for many, if not all of those, the concerns are justified. And where it's not justified, it's really hard to mentally compartmentalize everything because you're like, well, this institution was cheating and this institution was committing fraud and this institution. And so at a certain point, when you have enough evidence in front of you, it feels so widespread, it almost feels like everyone's doing it.
Right.
So then you just write everyone off. But we'll get to talking to this about this later, but you can't have a civilization of distrust. That is a civilization on the brink of collapse.
I agree with you. Yeah, and you said that, and I was half listening to you, half thinking about what do I trust, and I trust Jesus, I trust my family, and my friends. That's about it. I think that the government has lots of problems.
Yep.
I trust the church too, of course. But you're right. I'm looking at myself. I'm like, I don't trust most of this either. The IRS is kind of silly. The government's silly, and lots of other people are silly, and it's hard to find a reason to trust people. I'm just regurgitating what you're saying, but I totally see it.
I think that kind of sheds some light on what you're talking about with Candace Owens, honestly.
Right. Can we trust her? Can we trust what she's talking about? Because we've been trained to not trust anything.
Well, and she's operating under that same issue. I think this is the reason that all of these conspiracy theories, whether they're true or not, are coming up from Candace Owens, is you're seeing the disease of distrust. And so the fruit of distrust are conspiracy theories and other problems.
Trying to grasp at your own straws, trying to come up with your own solution because all these media outlets aren't telling everything that's true. And it's, no, it's a big issue.